Back again with another YouTube video. It's your boy Uriah G. Today we're going to react to times John Cena buried WWE wrestlers. We're going to react to times John Cena buried WWE wrestlers. Let's get right into the video. Alright, we have an ad to start off. That usually happens when we record videos, make content. Oh, unskippable.
No desire, that I'm a man of the past, that I'm not a challenge for you, that I'm a loser. Let me remind you who you're dealing with. I'm John Cena.
John Cena, 16-time world champion.
17-time champion now, right?
15-time world champion twice.
If you want some, come get some.
Face of WWE for over a decade. The man behind the iconic Never Give Up slogan and countless Make-A-Wish milestones.
Ruthless aggression.
But beneath the smiles and salute, there's a darker chapter in Cena's legend. A list of promising stars who collided with Big Match John and never regained the momentum.
Because you standing in the ring when John Cena about to turn heel.
Some were unstoppable monsters. Others were red-hot up-and-comers.
One of the great rivalries in the history of the WWE.
Yeah, Randy Orton, John Cena is definitely probably one of my favorite rivalries of all time.
John Cena.
Yet nearly all ended up lost in the shuffle after daring to step into Cena's spotlight. Today, we're peeling back the curtain of the so-called victims of John Cena. From shocking losses that halted massive pushes to WrestleMania moments that reshaped careers, we'll explore exactly how these superstars stumbled when they clashed with the biggest name in WWE. At the height of the ruthless aggression era, few superstars looked as terrifying as Umaga.
Rest in peace. He definitely underrated.
Introduced as a savage Samoan warrior, he burst onto the scene in 2006, managed by Armando Alejandro Estrada, demolishing everyone in his path. With his painted-faced savage style and unstoppable aura, Umaga quickly became one of WWE's most dominant heels. He also had the legendary Anoa'i family heritage behind him, making him a genuine force who demanded attention from the crowd. Early in his career, Umaga racked up victories against heavy hitters like Kane, Shawn Michaels, and even Triple H, though not always in singles matches.
3 top stars right there.
By the tail end of 2006, fans were convinced that Umaga was on a collision course with the top champion in the company, and they were right. That champion was John Cena. The two clashed in a memorable rivalry that showcased Cena's resilience and Umaga's monstrous presence. The feud culminated in a last man standing match at the 2007 Royal Rumble, still praised for highlighting Cena's never say die spirit versus Umaga's raw brutality. In the build-up, Umaga was portrayed as an indestructible.
Do you guys think I should watch this match? Wasn't this like a last man standing match between them two? Because I know Umaga, I think, had plenty of them.
Force. He brutalized Cena on several episodes of Raw, sending a clear message.
Well, this is Raw, he said.
His path of destruction wouldn't stop until he claimed.
But I did see the match with the Triple H versus Umaga and Shawn Michaels versus Umaga, because I think I still have the DVDs for the DX DVD. Not the later 2000s one. I think the early 2000s DX DVD, the one with Vince in it.
The WWE Championship.
And Spirit Squad, but let me get back to the video.
Some fans hoped this was the moment WWE would strap the rocket to Umaga's back and let him run riot over the company. But in that brutal last man standing match, Cena emerged victorious, barely, but decisively. While losing to Cena wasn't automatically a burial, the aftermath for Umaga was telling. He never returned to the same unstoppable level. He continued wrestling, even getting comedic moments in the Battle of the Billionaires, Yet the monstrous aura he once possessed
Yeah, that Bobby Lashley match versus Umaga.
began fading. That's why many label Umaga as an early victim of the Cena effect. Once he lost that big blow-off match, his aura as an indestructible force dissipated. Although he remained a notable character for
Okay, yeah, that makes sense because he got put over. That makes sense.
a time, his undefeated streak was broken, and the intimidation factor never quite recovered.
Or was it Cena got pulled over? Y'all correct me.
But Umaga was only the beginning. Not long after, a whole legion of younger
I said pulled over, put over.
talents would find themselves in Cena's crosshairs. And when that group arrived, it seemed like they changed the entire landscape of WWE until they collided with John Cena's unstoppable booking. Few debuts in WWE history were as shocking and impactful as the Nexus invasion in 2010. Led by Wade Barrett, this group of rebellious rookies from the first season of NXT tore apart the Raw set, assaulted
I've seen a lot of videos where they talked about Cena burying the Nexus.
both John Cena and CM Punk, and instantly established themselves as a force to be reckoned with. Fans were abuzz with speculation. Could this band of upstarts actually overthrow the established stars of WWE? Centering around Cena, the storyline saw the Nexus repeatedly ambush him, turning the once invincible face of the company into a hunted man. It was fresh, thrilling TV, with Wade Barrett as the mouthpiece, a physically imposing leader who could also talk. The Nexus looked destined to run roughshod over WWE for the foreseeable future. Then came SummerSlam 2010.
Yeah, because they really look like a dominant force group. And then, they just lost, so yeah.
Where the Nexus faced Team WWE, led by Cena in a classic elimination match. It felt like the perfect opportunity for the new invaders to cement their dominance, especially with top veterans on the opposite side. Instead, Cena overcame 2-on-1 odds in the final moments, eliminating Justin Gabriel and Wade Barrett almost by himself. The heroic comeback drew typical cheers for Cena, but spelled doom for the group's long-term credibility. The Nexus never fully recovered from that defeat, quickly losing their edge. In the months that followed, they drifted through forced angles. Cena was kayfabe fired, then forced to join the group, but the magic was gone. Barrett's main event momentum fizzled, and while some Nexus members,
Yeah, because this was the time around the Wade Barrett and Cena rivalry.
like Daniel Bryan, found success down the line, it wasn't tied to this storyline. For many critics, SummerSlam 2010 stands as one of the most glaring examples of Cena's creative might overshadowing emerging talents. But Cena's dominance didn't just stifle rebellious factions. It also came at the expense of individuals who brought unique, almost supernatural elements to WWE. Enter the Eater of Worlds. If ever there was a character tailor-made for psychological, enthralling main event feuds, it was Bray Wyatt. Debuting with his Wyatt family in 2013, Bray's cryptic promos, eerie entrance,
And I believe I did watch the Wyatt family's debut live. I think I did. And it was in the dark when I watched it because, their entrance is no lights.
and cult leader persona caught fire with fans. He was unlike anything else on WWE programming, weaving supernatural undertones with Southern Gothic creepiness to create a
Just really sad to, just think about them too, still not here. And I used to have the Eric Rowan mask. Like, I actually used to have it.
true sense of dread. By early 2014, Wyatt targeted none other than John Cena. The feud built between Bray trying to unmask Cena as a phony hero tempted him to give in to darker impulses. At WrestleMania 30, many fans believed a decisive Wyatt win on the greatest of them all would transform him into the next big
No,
main
you
event
cool.
villain.
You cool.
Yet, when the match ended, Cena pinned Wyatt clean in the middle of the ring. While Wyatt continued feuding with him post-Mania, the damage was done. WrestleMania is WWE's biggest show, and seeing Cena triumph undercut Wyatt's claims of exposing him. Although Bray Wyatt remained relevant, his spooky aura and later transformation into The Fiend kept fans intrigued. He missed that critical chance to become the unstoppable force a victory over Cena at WrestleMania would have guaranteed.
Wait, was that a botch? It looks like he didn't Set the move up right.
Guaranteed. As disheartening as Bray's fall might have been, at least he lingered around in main event storylines. Others suffered a more sudden crash after
I remember that. That's Over the Limit 2010. And I done seen this pay-per-view a lot of times.
Cena handed them their first major defeat, especially those whose undefeated streaks collided with Big Match John. When Rusev debuted on the main roster in 2014, he was presented as a nearly unstoppable Bulgarian brute aligned with the Russian flag and the formidable Lana. His anti-American
Living with
Here we go. Look, guys. These advertisements, they're annoying. And I don't even like this advertisement.
massive heat, and his undefeated streak quickly made him one of WWE's top heels. By early 2015, he was the United States champion, a perfect foil for WWE's All-American hero, John Cena. The stage was set for WrestleMania.
Oh yeah, let me see the conversation.
Rusev had already beaten Cena once at Fastlane, albeit via some controversy, preserving his perfect record. Fans hoped this might be the moment WWE fully invested in the monster heel, letting him conquer Cena on the grandest stage.
And I definitely can say when it comes to them two with the rivalry, right?
She said, "Am I wrong? Can I get a blessed 8?" And I was like, "All right."
Oh, she said she want a blessed 8.
Rusev,
Bro, you know what she be saying, cuz.
you know, he was beating talent all since he came to the company, NXT. And then soon as he faced John Cena, that's when it was like, because you know Rusev they didn't really do much with that gimmick either, but you know he was over at that point too.
Building a true main event star for the future. Instead, Cena pinned Rusev cleanly at WrestleMania 31. The image of Rusev, Dave, losing his U.S. title and walking away from a furious Lana signaled a sudden decline. Over the next month, Rusev tumbled down the card, continuing soap opera love triangle. Although he bounced back with the ironically popular Rusev Day gimmick later on, he never regained that same monster heel momentum. Like so many before him, he ended up another unstoppable force pinned by Cena at a career junction. Sometimes, the crush of Cena's victory happens quietly through a storyline that's supposed to help another rising talent shine.
Yeah, I'm saying call me because the friend's gonna be in the line.
Exemplifies that fate better than a certain
Zack Ryder, aka Matt Cardona.
Let me get the class.
sensation from Long Island. In 2011, Zack Ryder carved out a unique niche for himself. Frustrated with his lack of TV time, he took to YouTube with his show Z, True Long Island Story. The series made him a cult favorite, and fans began chanting his name at live events, clamoring for WWE to give him a shot. Eventually,
I think I used to, like when I was younger, I used to have the Brawling Brutes, that figure. I forgot which one I had. I think it was Rey Mysterio. I don't remember.
WWE listened, pushing Ryder onto Raw in more significant segments. Ryder's popularity caught the attention of John Cena, who, within the storyline, seemed to support Zack's underdog journey. However, that backing also placed Ryder in the crosshairs of Kane, who was feuding with Cena at the time. Ryder was repeatedly
I remember this whole storyline.
victimized by the Big Red Machine, choke slammed in stage, attacked backstage, and effectively humiliated. Meanwhile, Cena continued his larger feud with Kane, overshadowing Ryder's plight. To make matters worse, a contrived love triangle storyline with Eve Torres saw Ryder portrayed as a clueless Zack, losing both his dignity and the girl. By the time the angle ended, his once red-hot popularity had waned. He briefly tasted championship gold, winning the United States
I mean, at least they gave a mid-card title.
title, but soon dropped it. Rather than elevating Ryder, pairing him with Cena had turned him into an afterthought. Though Ryder later had a surprise Intercontinental Championship victory at WrestleMania 32, the sustained push he needed
And I'm glad they gave him that also.
never materialized. While Ryder's downfall was largely storyline based, some victims actually scored an early victory over Cena before suffering the dreaded fall. The next superstar on our list may have pinned Cena in their very first encounter, yet still found their push weakened over time. Kevin Owens arrived on the main roster in 2015. With an impressive resume from the indie circuit, plus an active NXT championship reign, declaring himself on par or better than anyone on Raw or SmackDown. He accepted and then rebuffed John Cena's US Open challenge in dramatic fashion. Owens attacked Cena,
Can't forget though, Kevin Owens beat him the first time.
stomping on the United States title, proclaiming that his NXT championship was superior. When they met at Elimination Chamber 2015, shockwaves hit the WWE Universe. Owens pinned Cena clean in his main roster debut match. It was almost unheard of for a newcomer to defeat Cena so decisively. Fans believed Owens would be unstoppable, perhaps marking a shift in how WWE handled established stars versus rising talents. Yet, momentum quickly swung back to Cena, who won their subsequent matches at Money in the Bank and Battleground. Owens finished the trilogy 1-2 against Cena, an overall losing record for a rivalry that had begun with such a monumental upset. Though Owens went on to have multiple title reigns, including a run as Universal Champion, fans often recall how quickly the feud pivoted back to Cena's favor. The impact of that first shocking victory diminished.
If Kevin Owens is a face, isn't he no, I thought he was a heel. No. Right now he's out of action, but when he comes back, he'll be a face. And if he comes back before Cena retires, if they run it back again and have another match, you guys think they should do that?
When Owens lost the
It probably would be a good match, though.
subsequent blow-off matches. At least Owens had that initial statement win. Some never even got that, especially when it came to cashing in golden opportunities. As we move forward, we meet a man
Oh man, Damien Sandow.
who carried the Money in the Bank briefcase, only to watch his big moment slip away at the hands of John Cena. Damien Sandow burst onto the main roster with an intellectual savior gimmick, condescending to fans and competitors. His pompous persona drew boos. But beneath the snobbery, Sandow showcased solid in-ring skills with an aptitude for comedy. In 2013, he won the Money in the Bank contract for the World Heavyweight Championship, historically a near guarantee of an eventual title win.
Yeah, like you win the briefcase, and then it's like, okay, that's it. They didn't do anything afterwards. But honestly, there's wrestlers that should have, there's wrestlers that were underrated that won the world championship. And Damien Sandow, I think, should have been one of them. Just like what? Jack Swagger was world heavyweight champion. I don't mind that because, he's an underrated wrestler. I don't think a lot of people like Jack Swagger as a wrestler, but he's not that bad.
Everything appeared on track for Sandow to make his mark at the top. But when he finally cashed in on Cena, who'd just returned from injury, he became one of the few to fail. Despite attacking Cena's injured arm relentlessly, Sandow still lost clean in what was a single episode of Monday Night Raw. Fans were stunned. Typically, a cash-in sees the challenger at an overwhelming advantage. Yet Cena, bad arm and all, overcame Sandow. Post-cash-in, Sandow's momentum plummeted. He drifted into losing streaks, comedic impersonations, and never again touched the main event scene. Though he found brief success as Mizdow, parodying The Miz, that was far from capturing a world title.
Yeah, because that definitely is being buried. That's definitely turning into a jobber. It's like getting pushed and then going down to where you started. You win the Money in the Bank, and then you're booked to win the Money in the Bank. You do win the Money in the Bank, and then you cash in and lose. It's not even lose, it just got squashed.
For critics, this loss stands as an emblematic Cena moment where a prospective star's big opportunity became just another heroic triumph.
But nah, if they want to bring him back, because I know he had went to TNA and his name wasn't Damien Sandow. If they bring him back to the company, they should do that.
In the story of John Cena. But Sandow wasn't the only towering presence who got shoved down after crossing paths with Cena. Sometimes, even an intense "Feed Me More" chant can't withstand the machine that is Big Match John. Debuting as
Now we're talking about
Ryback in 2012, Ryan Reeves embodied a human wrecking ball. He systematically destroyed enhancement talent and mid-carders, roaring "Feed me more" to a crowd that ate up his larger-than-life persona. In short order, WWE thrust him into the WWE Championship picture, particularly during CM Punk's historic title reign. By 2013, Cena once again held the WWE Championship, and Ryback, fresh off a frustrating series of matches where the Shield cost him title opportunities, targeted the face of the company. He blamed Cena for not having his back, turning heel in a dramatic betrayal. Initially, it looked like Ryback was poised to become a main event monster in his own right, ready to dethrone WWE's top star. Their
I'm
encounter
guessing what they're saying is pretty much after Ryback lost to Cena when he challenged him, that's when he turned into a jobber and he got buried and whatever. I guess that's what they're saying.
ended up reinforcing the tried and true Cena formula. The matches, including a last man standing bout at Extreme Rules
And then the ambulance match, right?
2013, highlighted Ryback's ferocity, with Cena still emerged champion, especially in a decisive ambulance match at Payback. From that point on, Ryback's main event push withered. He teamed with Paul Heyman, briefly formed Rybaxel with Curtis Axel, and never recaptured that unstoppable momentum. By 2016, he'd parted ways with WWE altogether, openly criticizing his booking, particularly around the Cena feud. Some monstrous powerhouses failed to rebound after their clashes with Cena. Others, known for their exceptional in-ring ability and crowd support, never quite get the final push they need. That brings us to our final name of the list, a show-off who was always on the cusp of greatness until Cena intervened.
Hey, I can't say though. Dolph Ziggler got pushed in a sense because he did win Money in the Bank. He won World Heavyweight Championship, Del Rio, Money in the Bank, 2013. I witnessed it live on TV. He had gotten his little push. He didn't win the WWE like championship or like World Heavyweight Championship. And then later on, not even talking about Cena, they just treated him like a jobber later on, like before he was gone from the company.
Dolph Ziggler earned his reputation as one of WWE's best bumpers, seamlessly selling for opponents in a way that made him stand out. Over time, his athleticism and knack for putting on stellar matches earned him a devoted following. The apex of his early rise came in 2012 when he held the Money in the Bank briefcase for the World Heavyweight Championship, eventually cashing in on Alberto Del Rio the night after WrestleMania 29, one of the loudest pops in recent Raw history. But injuries and inconsistent booking plagued Ziggler's trajectory. Before that memorable cash-in, he had feuded with John Cena in late 2012 through early 2013, often losing key matchups, including a ladder match for the Money in the Bank briefcase. While Ziggler did squeak out some wins, often with underhanded tactics, the prevailing image was Cena standing tall in the critical moments. The more Ziggler clashed with Cena, the harder it seemed
They had a good rivalry too, Ziggler and Cena.
for him to ascend to the next level. Even when Ziggler had heroic bursts, like surviving as the sole competitor against the Authority at Survivor Series 2014, he soon returned to mid-card status. Fans repeatedly yearned for WWE to pull the trigger on a sustained Dolph push. Instead, he remained a perennial, almost there contender. While Cena wasn't solely responsible for Dolph's stalled pushes, the pattern of losing big matches to the company's franchise players certainly didn't help. John Cena's career is marked by unprecedented success, mainstream crossover appeal, and a work ethic few can match. He headlined multiple WrestleManias, granted thousands of wishes through the Make-A-Wish Foundation,
Definitely made huge contributions towards the company. Did a lot. He has a lot of accolades.
and is considered one of WWE's greatest ambassadors. Yet, the question remains, why do so many rising stars seem to lose steam after locking horns with him? Part of the answer lies in WWE's overarching philosophy. For years, John Cena was the undisputed face of the company, much like Hulk Hogan was in the 1980s and Stone Cold Steve Austin was in the late 90s. In that role, the hero typically triumphs, particularly when the stakes are highest. While that formula keeps Cena's brand strong, it can inadvertently undermine fresh faces on the cusp of stardom. In some cases, like with the Nexus or Damien Sandow, the creative decisions heavily favored Cena at the expense of multiple young talents. With Bray Wyatt, Rusev, and Kevin Owens, huge streaks and momentum were halted abruptly by marquee losses to the face that runs the place. Zack Ryder and Ryback saw their enthusiastic fan support or monstrous aura fade away after tangling with Big Match John. And wrestlers such as Dolph Ziggler never seemed to rebound fully after major defeats in crucial moments. Burying, of course, is a loaded term. The wrestling business is complex, and many variables determine whether someone truly breaks through to the top. Still, the perception persists because this pattern repeats again and again. A rising star meets Cena on a collision course, they look ready to dethrone him, and in the end, more often than not, Cena remains victorious, while the challenger struggles to remain relevant at that same level. Despite these frustrations, certain superstars do eventually recover, reinvent themselves, or find success in different forms. But the pattern shows how powerful the Cena rub can be, and not always in a good way. Often, it's described as an unstoppable booking gravitational pull, with Cena forever positioned to come out on top. If you think John Cena's influence in the WWE was massive, you should see the man who practically defined wrestling in the 1980s, Hulk Hogan. From transcending the squared circle to becoming a household name, Hogan was
he was definitely like the top name of the company in that era.
an icon like no other. But with that fame came a host of controversies, both inside and outside the ring, that forever shaped his legacy. In our next video, we'll dive into the biggest scandals and questionable moments.
Alright, that was Times John Cena buried WWE wrestlers. Subscribe, like, comment. Tell me what you guys want to see next in the comments down below. I got more videos coming. Stay tuned. And yeah, Uriah out.